talk a little bit more about why I like integrating essential oils into my movement practice and into my day pretty much too. But mainly how they affect the body so that we can kind of see, how our emotions might be affecting us. So to do that, we've first got to kind of look at our limbic system, which is our emotional sensory brain. So I have a great little illustration, and it comes from, let me show the book, one of my favorites, Ultimate Balance. And we have a nice little diagram so that you can see right here, that green is our olfactory bulb. So when we breathe in, where all those come in and connect. And if we follow it back less than an inch from it is our amygdala. And the amygdala greatly influences our behavior and how we respond emotionally to events and information. Scans show that the amygdala's activity increases during negative emotional experiences or traumas. So when we experience repeated prolonged periods of stress, the amygdala enlarges, and it can make it easier for us to go into a state of stress or shut down. But if we go right behind the amygdala is our hippocampus. And so the hippocampus is where we store the not traumatic memories. But something to note is when our amygdala enlarges, the hippocampus shrinks from continued exposure to threats and traumatic experiences. So just to kind of understand how our sense of smell greatly affects our brain. And they've done research and things on that to see how aromatics can help affect our emotional state. And so that's really important when we start thinking about we breathe in it, and that's like so close, and it can affect our amygdala and hippocampus. But why is it important to be able to calm or quiet our emotions, or help us, through aromas, help us to, maybe release or let go of traumatic emotional experiences? So let's do a little kind of experiment. So while you're standing here, however you're watching this, just kind of scan the body in your calm state. If you need, it's beautiful out here today, so if I look out the window, that helps me even be in a more calm state. So find your calm state and just kind of scan and notice how your body feels in a calm state. And once you have that, take a moment and now think of something that really ticks you off, that really angers you, and kind of put that in your mind and think about it. And as you're thinking about it, scan your body again and notice how that affects your body. Notice the areas that you might be holding that in and that get a little bit more tense. And think about if we are in angered states a lot, how that tension can be held. But then on the flip side of that, think of a smell that calms you. So that might be, I grabbed lavender, is always known as a nice calming oil. So you might think of lavender or flowers, and think about how that, or if you have your oils, grab them, you can smell them. Another thing that really calms me a lot is trees, because anytime I'm in nature, it's very calming to me. So black spruce is one of my favorites. So I can breathe that. It takes me back into a calm state, and I can start feeling myself, that tension in my body start to relax. Another experiment that you could think of is, think of things that frighten you, that put you into fear, or that make you sad. Our bodies, are made for certain conditions. They go into fight, flight, or freeze. So if you start thinking of those emotions, they typically put us into one of those states. They either make us want to run, and when we run, think of the muscles that connect in. Think of the things that have to shut off for those fast things to take. Or if we go into fight mode, it's like, oh, it makes me mad. I'm gonna fight. Think about how that tension, creeps up into your body, and it sometimes stores in there. When you keep feeling that same tension, when you have certain emotions, we're storing that, we're stuffing it into those areas, and that could be from a different traumatic moment that got stored in maybe the neck or the shoulder or someplace. And then each time you have that emotion, it gets kind of stuck more in there, especially if we're not doing something, if we're not moving, if we're not adding in aromatics and breath work and nervous system work to help calm that. And then the final of that is freeze. If you've ever seen a bunny, bunnies are a really good example of these, is when they get frightened, they freeze. And think about if you're frozen. Because if you freeze, you're not wanting to be seen, and we tighten up into a little ball. But I'm sure we can all think of times, probably daily, I wouldn't even say in our lifetime, but things daily that sends us into fight, flight, or freeze. And so every time we do that, we're creating that tension and rigidity in our body. And if we don't do things, or we're not aware of it to get that to release, it just becomes worse and worse. And then it creates all kinds of scar tissuing in the body and all kinds of holding and things. So that's why I like to introduce oils into movement practice, because as already explained, and through research, what they have found is aromatics helps us greatly. Citrus oils is another favorite of mine. They make me happy, and they're very calming also. But through aromatics, we're able to find that calm state. And then when we're calm, we're able to relax. And when we're able to relax, we're able to move more efficiently. And in doing that, then what's awesome is we can start to release some of those emotions or traumas that are staying stuck in our bodies and let go of them. Something to note, though, is sometimes certain scents, depending upon the trauma, certain scents can elicit that trauma and bring that back. So sometimes, especially even with oils, when we smell a certain oil, we have just this reaction to it. And many times we have that reaction to it because it brings up a memory or a trauma that we're not quite ready to work on yet. But once we're able to work on it or release it, then that smell doesn't bother us anymore. So just another note on that, how, that can work. So that's my little blip for the day. I just wanted to kind of explain, how the aromatics work and why I am really passionate about adding them into movement practice and into my day. is not only is it helping me move more freely when I'm diffusing it or wearing them during the day, the aromatics help me to, or help others to not, to maybe be able to release those emotions as they hit, or be more aware of them so that they don't fester in our bodies and create rigidity. So just a few things to think about. Would love to hear any aha moments that you have. And